First of all, I know how disappointed everybody was about Saturday, none more so than myself and our football team. It's ultimately my responsibility and how we play and the product we put on the field. I still feel the same as I did after the game in terms of being disappointed in our discipline level when we were challenged. We did not respond in the right way. Kind of felt like that. Everybody felt like that was going to happen in the first game, and it didn't. It happened the other night, and we did not handle it very well. But we've got to pull ourselves up and go roll our sleeves up and go back to work. Nobody ever quit their way to the top. I mean, we've got to own it and suck it up and go back to work. And that's exactly what we did last night. It's what we'll do again tomorrow. We have a huge challenge in front of us. Before we get to that, I will give you an update on Josh. He has a fracture to his left fibula. He has surgery tomorrow. The timetable I'm a little uncertain on. I mean, obviously it's going to be a little while. So, as we get through it, if it becomes an issue at the end of the year that we need to talk about, we can talk about it then. But it's going to be, certainly going to be a little while before he's able to get back out there and play. I feel bad for Josh. He's a competitive, tough young man. Just kind of got landed on wrong on the play. But no, he'll come back better than ever. We turned to Ryan Willis and performed pretty well last week when he went in there. He's competitive. He's been training and working for this opportunity. And then it's up to everybody else to step up their game as well and help him out and support him. Like I said, we've got a big challenge. We're going to play Duke, probably the best Duke team we've played since I've been here. We've kind of seen that coming. I think you all know how I feel about Coach Cutcliffe and the job he's done at Duke, just as fine a coach as there is in all of America, and that's as fine a job. He's done as fine a job as anybody else in America at Duke. And we've kind of seen this coming for a couple years now. Just they've been a little bit young, but they've continued to get better and better, and they're very, very good on defense. They've given up very few points when the game was still in the balance. They've given up some late touchdowns in games that were already kind of salted away, but explosive offensively with running backs and wide receivers and another backup quarterback that stepped in and played pretty well, thrown 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which is pretty impressive. So we'll have to have a great week of preparation and get ourselves ready to go because it's as fine a Duke team as I've seen in a while.
You said timetable's uncertain, but what's kind of the window? I mean, are you expecting it's unlikely he'll be back in the regular season? I mean, can you kind of speak to just a firmer timetable?
Yeah, I know he's in great hands. He's having surgery. It'll be, maybe at the end of the year, maybe not. I mean, it's certainly not going to be a couple weeks from now. I can tell you that much. So, everybody's different, and they'll do a great job with our medical staff. Will do a great job with him. Josh will get healthy and be ready to go. I just, we're going to have to not plan on having him for some time.
We've talked to you about sort of the injury luck history that you've had with your quarterbacks. You haven't had to go to a backup too much here. How do you feel like you were prepared to go to a backup, and how do you think Willis is ready for this moment?
Well, it's the benefit of having a backup with a little bit of experience. He's had some game experience at Kansas. I was pleased with his performance the other night. Came in and filled in admirably. I know I'll have to handle the whole game plan and the week as a starter. So, I mean, he's prepared, and he'll be ready, and we'll try and build it around him and be ready to try and give ourselves a chance to have success. In my opinion, one of the strengths that we've had in our history is that we have molded what we were doing to fit that person, to give that person and their skill set a chance to have success.
Pleasure.
get you a microphone. Questions for Coach?
As you reviewed film from Saturday's game and you looked at all the defensive breakdowns, it seemed like early on, I know LaRussa had a great career game, and your secondary really struggled. But there's some things that you were able to put your fingers on as far as systemic issues. I know you said you tried a lot of different things and nothing seemed to work.
Well, I think probably the biggest disappointment was that we didn't handle the adjustments very well. You know, like we didn't play the ball we didn't play the ball in the air very well, and then we just didn't handle the changes, and that's that's disappointing. And our conversation yesterday as a coaching staff was how we're communicating those changes, how we're teaching those changes, and how can we get it to where those things happen, because inevitably they're going to happen. They happen all the time. They happen in all three phases of the game. How can we get that message across and execute it at a little bit higher level?
Questions for Coach?
You obviously were very upset about the penalties and the unsportsmanlike. What is the sort of during the week? What do you make the players? Is there a punishment individually as a team? Like, can you take us through like what you do
Sure.
with those kind of things to clean them up like you had mentioned?
Sure. Well, we have historically, it been a disciplined football team in my estimation. We have. You're going to have a holding penalty occasionally or a pass interference penalty occasionally. We're going to play tight coverage and be aggressive and all those sorts of things. It's the undisciplined penalties that really bother me, and that hasn't been an issue. But we addressed it all as a group, as a whole team last night, and in attempts to make sure we understand how important it is that we don't do those things. But I would say this: when we go to great lengths about talking and playing smart football, and the challenge is playing smart football when you're emotionally off, and that's what happened. We were challenged and emotionally didn't handle it very well, and then reacted or responded in the wrong way.
Does this open up anything more for Hendon going forward, or is it strictly Ryan's job along the way?
Well, that's something that we'll certainly look at during the week. I mean, Hendon's closer to playing. He's played a little bit a couple of weeks ago and did well, had the long touchdown run. So something we'll certainly look at and try and evaluate as we go through. It may be a scenario where it does mean he plays a little bit or not, but it's certainly a conversation we're going to have.
I know you had a statement on it on Sunday, but Trayvon, was it a culmination of things? I mean, what kind of led to the dismissal, especially so close to after the game and returning home?
Sure. I mean, I've been in close conversation with Trayvon. Just finished visiting with he and his family, and we've been continually monitoring and talking about things since we've been here. And so there's no individual particular incident other than, Trayvon knows how I feel, and we have very frank and honest conversations, and those conversations will remain private. But it's not one incident, no.
Questions for Coach?
What is the mentality of the team right now? I mean, that's a tough 24 hours. It goes beyond just losing the game. I mean, your top pass rusher now is out. Josh is out. Do you get a sense that you need to kind of pick them up? Do you sense that senior leaders are going to need to work extra hard? Kind of what's just the mentality right now after that kind of whirlwind of 24 hours?
Sure. Well, I the term brought back down to earth comes to mind, but I'm not sure that's an accurate depiction. I think we have to do a great job as leaders, the coaching staff and our older players, of getting our guys back going a little bit. That was, we try not to use the word, but the facts are a very inexperienced or young football team that is now having to fight their way through adversity, and they're gonna need help. We're gonna have to do a great job with them, bringing them along. So, it was pretty quiet last night, and for various reasons, but we'll get them back.
Coach, Duke's kind of been in a similar situation as you are, playing the backup quarterback because of Daniel Jones' injury. So what do you see from Quentin Harris through, I guess, the limited amount of tape that you have on him?
Well, the first thing that stands out to me is that he values the football. He's obviously been well coached. He understands that they've got a really good defense, that they have some playmakers on the outside, and at tailback he does a good job distributing the ball. But you can tell watching him play. I know they had a fumbled snap that got run back for a touchdown, but he's conscious of the football. And he's done a great job taking care of it. His touchdown to interception ratio tells you that, but you can see it on film that he's taking care of the football. And then he's making plays too. He's not just a guy out there that's just kind of managing the game. He's athletic. He can throw the ball accurately. Like I said, they've got plenty around him to help him be efficient. So he's played at a pretty high level since he's come in.
Back to Willis, I know that there's sort of a connection. I think it was with Shebest and his dad that knew each other. What was, again, sort of his path here, and what did you think of him when he initially got here, and how he's progressed?
Well, I'm probably going to mess this up, but between Daryl Dickey, who was on our staff at Memphis and is now at Texas A&M, and James, they were tight with Ryan's dad through Kansas State and maybe the NFL. I'm not exactly sure where it all came around. And they came to me, they being James, and asked me about Ryan would be interested, and we really didn't have a scholarship at the time and all that kind of stuff. But certainly we were interested. And I remembered him because we played Kansas when I was at Memphis, and he'd shared time with one of the other quarterbacks that I think has left Kansas as well, if I'm not mistaken. And, it was kind of one of those deals where yeah, sure, we'd be interested in it. And I think I don't want to put words in Ryan's parents' mouths, but I think they were looking for a place where maybe they had some familiarity with people. And, we'd had a little history with having some success with quarterbacks, that sort of stuff. So he decided to come walk on. And I'd seen him play a little bit. We'd watched some of his film, just to get a handle on it. But when I saw him throw the ball live, I was really impressed. I really was. He really has some talent there. It's quick and it's pretty accurate and it's strong. He's got a strong arm. So was pretty pleased with that the first time I saw him throw the ball. And then I've been really maybe more happy with how he's fit into the team, how he's worked. The guys in the weight room love him, which is not always the case with kickers and quarterbacks. And, he loves getting in there and getting with the guys. And, it's just really fit in with the team really, really well.
Is he on scholarship yet?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't usually talk about that,
understand.
but we don't need to. Yes, he is. Yeah.
In the comment about kickers and quarterbacks not being terribly popular in the weight room at times is interesting. Is it because he sort of bucks that trend? Is it because he's active in there? Is he sort of a rah-rah guy? What kind of puts him in that mode where he's a little more popular than most?
I think he's got a little bit of secret kind of meathead to him. Like deep down inside, he's got a little bit of, wishing he played middle linebacker, in a quarterback's body. But I think he enjoys it, to be honest with you. He's really embraced it, and all our quarterbacks do a good job in there. When you see them on the field, you realize that they are a big, strong group. Hendon and Quincy are two big, strong kids. Josh is a big, strong kid. So, I think the biggest thing is he's embraced it, and he actually enjoys it.
This might be putting the cart before the horse, but Jackson played in 3 games this year. Would he be eligible for a medical hardship if he was not able to come back?
Good question. Good question. I don't know. We'll have to check. I hadn't got to that part of pondering about all that stuff. Quite honestly, I've kind of been handling one thing at a time right now. But I don't know. We need to check.
Offensive line, pass protection, concerns going forward with that group, changes. I mean, what's your kind of thoughts? Seem to struggle at times.
Sure.
Let's-
Well, I I would like to get Christian back. Hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll get Divine back. Trey Turner didn't make the trip, so hopefully we'll get all of those guys back. And I know you're asking about pass protection, but Christian's pretty talented in that area. I think that could help that. The other thing I would tell you is, again, their best position, maybe on their whole team, is defensive end. I mean, they have a couple of really, really good players there. And when we got put in obvious passing situations, we struggled at times. So, but yeah, it's a concern. We need to be better. We need to do a better job of that. Maybe there's a couple things we can do to help those guys out that we need to be more cognizant of moving forward.
You mentioned injuries. Is Wheatley hurt on Saturday?
Wheatley was there and available if for emergency. When I say emergency, like if we'd have lost several guys, but we're trying to get him healthy and ready to go. I would anticipate that that he won't be in an emergency role this week. That he'll be, but that's what we did with him.